I said Snowy. Snowy's got the yellow legs. That's a white egret, red white egret, because he has the black legs. Wow, that's cool. All right, there we have. This is one of the most amazing critters. Why did you wet your hand right there? I saw you wet your hand. What'd you do that for?
It's not to put the marine organisms in shock.
Oh, so you put them in shock if you pick them up with your dry hands?
Well, if you don't have any salinity on your hands, you're taking them out of their natural environment.
So no salt water on your hands?
And whenever you take an organism and put them into something dramatically different than what they've adapted to, then it can put them in shock and kill them.
Oh,
we're not here to do that. We're just here to learn about them.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. I had no idea. Well, so you pat your hand in that water right there.
I've always done that.
And let's get one of these critters out here. Let's pat both hands, make sure it's clear. I see you had one. If you want to pick one up too, what are these little snails? These seem to be something feeding on the surface. I know what they are. These are the mud snail. I was thinking periwinkle for a minute, but these guys here are not marsh periwinkles. These are called mud snails for you out there. And what they do is they feed on lots of dead material, any kind of what's called detritus, anything microscopic dead or big enough to see with your naked eye, macroscopically dead. They feed on. They're really cool. Matter of fact, they're the host creature. Look at that. They're a gastropod, which means one large foot.
Muscular foot.
Muscular foot, yeah. Check that out. And they
crawling on me.
They crawl around. They'll crawl on you. It's a great kid critter too. It's easy to catch. You don't want to eat these guys. This is not escargot here. If you ate these, boy, they would. I'm telling you, you'd like to spit these guys out. If you look really closely at hers, you might get a close up here a little bit. It has got a little nose, a proboscis that sticks out. It's got two little eye spots that stick out of the front of him. This is the front, the little fat part of the shell. And he's looking for something right now, right there on your finger. That's really cool. Oh, maybe he thought you just kicked the bucket. He's trying to eat something on top of your finger. These guys are the host of the exact same worm that causes swimmer's itch. Have you ever been out in the water and feel a prickly sensation across your arms, and it feels like something just gets real itchy just all of a sudden swimming in the ocean? If you do and you're near a marshy area, what you're feeling is that worm trying to get in your body. It does not live in the human skin, though, so it is a host of that parasite that usually lives in other species, such as fish and whatnot. That's cool, but they won't live in humans. They'll just cause us an allergic reaction. Our skin causes us to itch, swimmer's itch. The mud snail, cool critter. Let's go check out some more creatures. Check that out.
Look how beautiful. What is this?
Look how shiny that thing is. Wow, that is really cool. Look at the shiny copper-like tone of that shell right there. That's gorgeous. This is locally known as the razor clam, or jackknife clam, a lot of people say. We call it locally as the razor clam. The reason why it's called that, this is one of the most beautiful clams and shell collectors to us right here in the salt marsh. If you look here along the edge of this clam, I'm going to wash him off right quick so you don't see that black mud. He's very, very thin and razor-like. Matter of fact, Native Americans, they believe, used to shave with the shell of this razor clam. They would break a little edge off, like that one's already been broken off. It's very sharp, and you could actually shave with that if you needed to. It might take a while to get your good close shave like you do with your Bic today, but you could definitely shave with it. Look at there. And there's some spots on the back, too. That's where his adductor muscles were attached, where the living part of the muscle was when he was alive. That's the razor clam. Awesome. They swim, they take their long foot, stick it into the mud, and they dig very quickly. So if you ever want to get one of these live, you've got to find a little hole shooting up, little jets of water out of it in the bottom. Matter of fact, some of these holes are created by razor clams. If you look along right here in this water right here, see that little column of mud sticking up? Chances are that's some kind of bivalve right there, some kind of clam or something of that nature that sticks up a siphon and filters the water out through it. You'd have to dig super fast with a shovel to even get to him, because he can dig about as fast as you can dig. They're awesome critters. Razor clams.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Check this out. Look at all this stinky mud here. Remember a while ago we were going to show you a different kind of mud? Well, guess what? We're here. You can really tell this is a different kind of mud because when you step in it, you actually stick to it. It's very sticky. It's called PLUFF, pluff mud to the locals. And it smells like the northbound end of a southbound camel. It's got a real funk to it. So let's get a little bit of the mud here. Just like in good Playcard style, let's take a big whiff of it. Ooh.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Stinky. The reason why it's so stinky is because it uses oxygen. It doesn't use oxygen in its breakdown of energy. Uses a totally different system, and that creates this anoxic, which means no oxygen environment that kind of has an odor to it. You might smell another anoxic environment when you go by your local sewer treatment plant or something like that. That's all the sulfur that's being released. And this is not sewage. This is actually a clean environment. Even though it looks real dirty, that's not that dirty of an environment. That is a totally natural reaction. It's not pollution. A lot of people think, ooh, that's just sewage going out in there. It's not. This is okay. You can get your kids out in it. You can play around. That's fine. You wouldn't want to eat the shellfish in the area because there may be a little bit of runoff from the land that might have fertilizers or pesticides in it. And you say you wouldn't want to eat one of these species that we have right here. Wow, what is this thing? Check this thing out. Check that out. What's that? What do we have there?
I believe that's an oyster.
That's definitely your Carolina oyster shell. And that baby right there will cut you like a razor. And it's one of the dirtiest cuts you can have because of this pluff mud having all that bacteria in it getting in a cut. So when you come out to a marsh, make sure you wear closed-toed shoes or at least a good pair of sandals. I would recommend what Lindsay has on here, a good pair of old tennis shoes or wading shoes or water shoes for walking around in the marsh. That is awesome. That is really a cool critter right there. He's closed up right now.
Why are oysters important to the ecosystem?
Oh, okay. Do you know how they feed? How do they feed, Lindsay? She's
They're,
a marine biologist. See how she does here.
Filter feeders.
Filter feeders. Why is that important to our ecosystem that they're filter feeders?
Well, they are also keystone species.
Oh, they are?
They are. You remove oysters. That's why there's so many people are researching to make artificial oyster reefs.
Oh.
Because so many have been removed from
Cool.
human activity. They filter out a lot of the nutrients and stuff.
High loads
so
of
that we
nutrients.
don't have plankton blooms.
Right.
Like that.
Right. Making the water pea green, real green, and making the low oxygen levels so fish can't live. So that's bringing your fish populations back in a lot of areas, basically, and bringing your ecosystems back. That is really cool. Very important keystone species. But if you catch them in areas like this, around all this development, it's better that you don't eat it. Why is that? Do you have any idea why you wouldn't want to eat this? These are listed by DHEC, local environmental authority, not to be eaten,
Well,
especially raw.
when pollutants go through the ecosystem and go up the food chain,
Right.
it intensifies bioaccumulation.
Bioaccumulation. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's concentrated bacteria, basically. Levels are very high in this critter down here. So if you're in this area of the beach, due to all of the runoff being fertilizers, pesticides, some sewer overflows, things of that nature, you've got to be very, very careful not to eat your oysters in our ecosystem. These guys here, you want to eat one from your local store or your local markets, not out of our marshes in our area. I know there's probably thousands of people out there listening to this show and watching this show that eat them today, but they are listed, and they're listed for a very good reason. Be careful of what you're getting into out here. And always wear shoes in a marsh. They're still very important creatures, and we got to have them. Cool. I got him.
All right, this would be your
Cool.
male crab.
Is that your male crab? Let me wash him off right quick.
Male crab.
How do you know he's a male?
By this design right there.
It looks like the almost like the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. That's kind of
Yes,
cool.
sir. And the female
Female
goes
looks like,
like that.
It's a pyramid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the pyramid.
Kind of like a round pyramid.
That's neat. Look at here. What
These are used
is there
for
anything?
swimming.
What's that?
These are their swimming ones.
Oh, swimming legs.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's called an arthropod, meaning jointed legs, because they have lots of jointed legs. The largest species of animals on Earth are arthropods, they think. Isn't that cool? At least macroscopic animals. Isn't that neat? Look at here. What do you think special about that blue coloration?
Camouflage.
You know what? If there's more blue than red on their claws, it's a male. If there's more red than blue on their claws, typically it's a female.
And if you cook them, they all turn red.
Exactly. And they're back. Look at there. That is camouflage. See that dark green? Matches that mud just about perfectly. And if you ever wanted to test it, all you have to do is stick your finger right there and you'll learn a lot about physics. Because that right there is what you call a lever. One of the world's oldest levers, and it will pinch the living fool out of you. That being the fulcrum. It's got a lot of power, and these adductor muscle here, this pinching muscle, and it'll lock onto you. They're very territorial, too. We were scuba diving out here last week, and had one of these guys come out and actually chase us for about 5 feet. He thought he was big and bad and would chase us off, even as big as we were. Eye stalks. Look at this. He's got a little feeding mouth that he can pull apart. He's got different kind of feeding structures in here. Look at there. He can reach out and crush things sideways. Looks like a little alien mouth almost. It's really cool. Let's let him go. Here you go. I'm going to let you let him go. You got him? And right there. Can't be timid now. If you're timid, we're going to be doing backflip out here. Got him? Got to hold him tight now. Hold him tight. Clamp him like that. More than one finger. There you go. We'll let you let him go there.
There you go.
Wow, Lindsay, look at this thing, man. This is a little different. He's got more red on the tips of the claws, and it's bubbling out the mouth a little bit. Oh, we're sinking in the pluff mud here. And look at the abdomen of that crab right there.
Is this to be your female blue crab?
Female blue crab. Looks kind of like the pyramids right there. See how that pyramid shape is?
Mm-hmm.
And right there. Here's your female. Got more red on the tips of the claws, and definitely got the pyramid shape. These guys are protected when they're in eggs, so you can't, when they have little orange berry-like eggs all under their abdomen right here, you don't want to disturb them. They can have hundreds of thousands of eggs they leave in the water at a time. They're amazing. Cool critters. The female blue crab. This is Sheila. We'll let her go. Bye, baby. Ah, and they will bite you too. They'll also dig in the mud. You gonna dig? Dig. Oh, I'm gonna get you. She'll dig back in that mud. It's not too hard. That's cool. All right, well, let's get our cameraman out of the mud. He's about that deep already. Let's see what we can do. It's this thing. Whoa.
I believe that's a shrimp.
It's called a shrimp. And we call them popcorn shrimp because they pop when they get in your hand like popcorn, as you saw just a second ago. Isn't that cool?
That is neat.
That is a neat critter. What, do you know anything special about a shrimp? What can they do? What can you do at night? And what can you do with a flashlight? What's special about him? Do you have any idea?
Don't they make a light?
They're iridescent at
Yeah.
night. Yeah, they've got a shiny light that comes out of their actually shines back from this internal structure right here. It looks like a whole bunch of little shiny dots in his body. They've got a little horn on them too. If you grab them real hard, you'll find out the hard way that those babies were sharp as a razor, and they'll hook you right there on their head.
Fish here.
Long antenna used for smelling, and they eat just about any kind of little plankton they can get their hands on out there. Great eating, excellent eating. They also get probably 6-7 inches long by the end of the summer out here. They're a beautiful creature. These are nursery areas for young species. That's why our marshes are so important. So that's why we have to keep them intact and don't dredge and fill them and try to wipe everything out by filling in our critical habitat. Check this out, Lindsay. Look in that hole right there. This critter here, you've got to be careful when you pick him up. This is one of the most prolific critters in the sea around here. Now, they don't normally live in tidal pools. This was caught out of the inlet behind us here and put in this little tidal pool, and it's probably getting too hot for him. He's probably going to die, so we'll let him go, sneak him out here. It's called the pinfish.
Why is that?
If you look at his scale, his fins on his back, they're sharp as needles or pins in a pin cushion. And if you grab them like this, real hard, you will know it. It will poke the fool out of you. There's pin cushion type quills right here and here as well, on his dorsal fin and his little adipose fins right here. These guys here are really, really a cool critter. Pinfish. They've got a little mouth similar to same niche as a brim would fill in a pond is what they fill in. You know, they eat just about anything they can. Part scavenger, part predator. Whoa! And a great big flipper. Pinfish. You pick them up from the bottom, just like Lindsay's doing. That's a good way to do it. All right, and as we get ready to go swimming out into the sunset, Lindsay and I are going to take a big swim out here in our inlet out here that our canal and marsh just connects to. We'll thank everybody for watching. Forever Wild, thank you for seeing how a day in the life of the salt marsh works and some of our marsh critters that we have to enjoy along the Grand Strand. Happy outdooring, everybody. See ya.